When working with decimal values, you can define a variable as a double data type and then assign it a value, or you can simply assign it a value and Swift infers that it's a double data type. However, when working with Swift, there are several data types that hold decimal values, and the most common one is called a float. And the difference between a float and a double is the amount of precision that a double value can hold. So if you run this code, you'll see that a double value holds all of these decimal values. But if you run this code, which is a float, you notice that the float decimal value cannot hold as many decimal values. So the advantage of using a float is simply that it takes up a little bit less memory than a double data type. The advantage of a double data type is that it holds more precise values. And so that's why when you assign a decimal value to a variable, Swift infers that you want the greater precision of a double data type. So if you want less precision, you have to explicitly define a variable as a float data type. So when defining decimal values, it's generally a good idea to explicitly define the data type. Even though this is a double data type, this just makes it a little bit clearer that you're using a double data type, and this makes it clear that you're using a float data type. So when working with decimal values, be careful. Make sure you know you're working with double or float, because if you try and add these together, you'll see you'll get an error message because you cannot mix data types together. And so one way to fix this is simply to convert this into a double data type like this. And then you're able to add these two variables together because they are now the same data type. So that's the key with using mathematical operations with Swift. You have to use the same data type because that makes sure that you do not mix data types by mistake.